Okay, session 5, back to our original model. So I said I wanted to add some geometry to it, right? So this is a good looking airplane. Nobody can deny that. It's been around for long enough. What I want to do is let's add a super secret dome to this, right? So this is HyperWorks for FEKO, understanding that one of the things that FEKO is really good at is like antenna placement on a large aircraft as well. So I'm just going to come to the solids, and the closest thing I can get to a dome at this moment in time is going to be a sphere, right? So I'm just going to draw a sphere on my model. Pick the radius, and then whether you want it filled in or not. Okay. And then you can also move it, so if you didn't like where it was. Once again, we have the snaps, all of the positioning tools are within here as well. So if I wanted to move this, it's kind of oriented in the wing coordinate system. I can move it down a little bit. That should be okay. I assume that looks like a good enough place for a radome as any. I just hit escape. Okay, so now that these two pieces are kind of intersecting, we should Boolean them together. Okay. So I'm going to go Boolean. I'm going to do intersect, I do believe. Select targets. Select your tools. Oh, this wants it to be solid. Just kidding. We don't want to do that. I want to split intersecting surfaces. Okay. Could do Boolean if this was a solid, but this is just bounded surfaces at this point. So what I want to do is I want to pick my target, pick my wing over here, except for this. So shift click to remove that. Pick the tool. Hey, not that. And then let's see, split. Okay. So what this did is this split the surface with this this dome. Okay. I could also take the opposite approach to this. I can also split this sphere with but I want to split the solid sphere with this surface here. And say split. So now I can check and see solid. Oop, that didn't work. Try this one more time. Split that with this. Oh, we need to extend the trimmer because it won't trim around that. But split. Okay. So now this sphere is in two pieces, and I don't need this top piece. Okay, so I can just select it and delete it, but also the surfaces stick around as well. There is an option to change that, but once again, also keep in mind that there are kind of a duplicate surface here as well. Okay. And this is still a solid. So if you want, once again, you can delete the solid entity, and now these are just bound surfaces. And if you want, you can even delete the surface that goes into the radome. So if you did just purely want outer options, you can do that. Okay, so I just drew a dome. I'll do this another time on the other side, so you can kind of see. So I just hid those two surfaces with H. Okay, so let's do this one more time, a little cleaner now that we know what we're doing. Let's put another dome over here. You could do symmetry. You could copy these about a symmetry plane, but what's the fun in symmetry if you can't do all the work again? Okay. I do think this is kind of an important work, so I will show this again. Okay. Once again, I will draw a sphere on my wing. Oops. Good chance it's going to pop out on both sides. Maybe this time you want to leave the top. Yeah, let's just do the bottom. That's going to be clever. No one puts a radome on the top, unless you're looking for satellites above you or something. Okay. So then I came to split. So I have kind of these intersecting surfaces or solids. I don't technically care about this solid geometry of the sphere. I just kind of want its surfaces. So if I want to just from the, if it's mixing you up solids and surfaces, just get rid of the solid, right? So I just selected the solid entity from my drop down here and just hit delete. The surfaces will remain for you. So now if you're just thinking, okay, well now I just have a bunch of surfaces, I just kind of want to split my surfaces. That's kind of an easier thing to understand. Okay, so you got a target surface and you have the tool in which you want to split. Hit split, and now if we go and remove this, you'll see that the remaining surface is down here. So if I just hide this, and show, hide and show, it's there. Cool. So that was probably a little easier. And then once again, there are probably two surfaces here. Let's see, hide. Nope, there are not. So that just trimmed this solid with that surface. But it might be, oh, there we go. I was going to say it might be hard to tell, but we didn't actually do the surfaces together, right? So that would be the next thing is you'd want to either stitch these two together. So now it's all congruent. But when you do that, this is a duplicate surface. You can hit delete. Maybe not a duplicate surface, it's just not necessary. Okay, so show the front leading edge again. Okay. So a few different options. This depends on how you want to think of it, right? If you're used to solid modeling and you like solids, you could do the trimming with the solid, the splitting with the solid, and the tool. Or you could even do Boolean if you wanted to for both of these parts. You could do that as well. Lots of options for you, but I do want to show you that you do have an option within FEKO for doing some kind of editing, right? And this kind of geometry editing is nice to do in FEKO. I mean, it's nice to do in HyperWorks. Probably a little more difficult to do in FEKO, if I had to go out on a limb and guess. Okay, so that's kind of how we add add an additional ray dome. This could be any geometry. You could even go file and import a new, parasolid, step, IGES, CATIA file. It doesn't matter. So let's just assume maybe you brought one in and you're gonna, this is probably interesting. Let's say brought in, do they make boxes? Let's make a box be the first. I know they make little blade antennas, right? That's certainly a thing. Let's call this a blade. There it is. So it could very easily go into outer space. I think I can edit this. If you're in the solids tool, you can double click on these things. That's fine. It'll just be a big chunky blade. So now you're probably wondering, well, how do I get this into my model or over into my model? So the move tool is a great option for this. So I can come and grab this solid part. Puts a little move tool there. Okay. I think it's aligned by default to global, which isn't bad. You can align it to the body, so now it's more in line with its body. But I can come and take this midpoint and snap it somewhere. So that's kind of a good first start, right? So I'm just grabbing these points. And then I want to say rotate this so it's in line with my arrow plane. So I can come and use which axis? This axis here to rotate. Okay. You can also use snaps as well, so I can come and snap it to the end of this line that's going kind of nose to tail. Okay. Just like that. And I'd say that's aligned. Okay. So now once again, we can go through our kind of process. So if the solid is kind of bugging you, you can delete the solid and use the surfaces to trim, or we can come back and split this solid with these surfaces. There's a review option in here. Let's see what that does. Generating trim profiles. Ooh, we put it right on a... There could be some weird stuff because it's maybe looking at all of these different lines in which to, or surfaces in which to trim it with. We'll see. Okay, so that'll be our split. I think that looks fine. Go ahead and trim it, or split it, I guess. And remember, it's still going to be a solid, so if you want, you can go and delete the solid. You're left with the surfaces. But remember, this is a solid part that's going into your arrow plane. So again, this is kind of crude, but you know, especially I've heard that a lot of FEKO users, you probably don't have maybe access to a traditional CAD tool, or if you do, you probably don't know how to use it to the extent that you should know how to use a CAD tool if you were, say, a designer using it every day. But this is a kind of a quick and dirty way to bring in parts and get them all together. Okay, so that looks good. So once again, I'm going to just come in here and go solid and delete this solid. The surfaces will remain. Looks like there's some weird trimming stuff going on. So the solids here, I'm going to go back to surfaces, hide my fuselage. Like I said, there's probably some stuff going on inside that you're going to want to delete. Delete, 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 delete. And you'll have your kind of duplicate surfaces here. I'm going to clear all those up. Yeah, this was a weird spot to do it, but yeah, we did okay. I'll give us a decent mark for that. So I just was deleting on my keyboard all of those. And then if we look down here, we probably just want to stitch this together. So I just grab all of these and stitch them. Okay. And then if you don't like the fact that these are here, even within the stitch tool, you can come in and just drag these nodes down. This will affect your mesh quality if you're into that kind of stuff. I'm going to assume you might be. Okay. So now everything, I think, looks good. So now we have your box and your part. I bet that's super aerodynamic. Your aerodynamics team is like, yes, thank you. Great. Okay. So that's kind of where I wanted to stop with some of the geometry addition. Okay, I think this is kind of an interesting workflow that we can really take advantage of within HyperWorks that you don't really get within FEKO, CAD FEKO. That might be a little harder in traditional engineering tools. So I'm going to save this file, save as a hypermesh file. We're going to call this, this name just keeps getting longer, with my domes. Okay. Excellent. The next session, I think we're time to mesh. Right? I think we've done as much geometry cleanup and editing as we can do, or that we want to do. So let's mesh this.